like and what the lifestyle is like. And I was playing cricket back in India as well, so he was in the search of a cricketing school and cricketing club where I could, apply my trade here. And he was working at a gas station in Tirana South, just by the countdown. Used to be called Challenge before, if you remember that. And he was working there on a night shift, and the gentleman walked in with wearing a cricket sweater. And my dad just asked him, look, my son is coming over from India shortly. Do you play cricket as well? I got selected to play under 14 for the state that I came from, Gujarat. And I remember I got selected as a fast bowler who used to bowl off the wrong foot. Still do, actually. And then we were playing against Mumbai, which is another state, in a game, and then we were getting smashed. A fellow by the name of Jeet, who plays for India, was playing in that game as well. I batted number 9, and I think I batted for about 8 hours, sort of one day and a couple of hours, and the second day I scored 21 runs in 8 hours. So the next game, the coach said, why don't you open the batting? And I opened the batting and managed to score 100. And that was the end of my fast bowling, and that's when my batting career started.
At the time, we had 9 one-days in the probably 3 weeks leading up to the World Cup, which is a lot of cricket. 3 one-days is tough work in a week. So we had that. We had 7 against Sri Lanka, 2 against Pakistan, and then we were at the World Cup, which is being at home. It was also no other week to describe. It was pretty amazing, the support that we had, the journey that we went through with the being unbeaten in the full play, and then touching the family. So that field was outside of the best atmosphere that we've been to. And again, it was 50,000 people in the park. They all started having to bowl their last ball. You could have been dropped. No one was running that ball for 6. Or hell broke loose, really. It was
like 5 randoms after that. It's a normal avenue.
But being a part of that, it was just incredible. Then obviously we didn't play very well in the final, and then sort of planning started after that. We had a lot. We still had a lot of cricket that year to play. We went to Zimbabwe, South Africa, India, and then we obviously had a home summit as well. And it just sort of starts from there, getting other guys. We had a lot of retirements after that World Cup. And you guys came in and filled their spots really well, and we just built towards the World Cup last year. And I guess for me, my preparation for that one last year was a bit different. I was at IPL, Jimmy, you were at home. It was a trip to Brisbane to play against Australia, which I think we only had about 4 or 5 guys from the squad that are actually here playing. What was that like?
Yeah, well, it was interesting. It was a split build-up. I think Australia called all their players back from the IPL for their training camp, but we kept ours over in India, so it was sort of a shadow New Zealand A team almost playing against Australia, a full-strength Australia team in Brisbane. And we came really close to winning the series. We lost it 2-1, but if DRS had been in play in that series, we reckon we would have probably won it 2-1 the other way. But the IPL guys, I think you might have come back for 1 day or 2 days, and then turned around to the airport, and we sort of flew out pretty much straight away. It was interesting because you had such different build-ups in the squad, but then once we actually got together and landed in England, there was only really ever one goal everyone had in mind. We had a few interesting trainings at kind of schools in England that were just had been set up for the tournament, because obviously there's 10 or 12 teams all turn up in the country at once, and it's not a whole lot of facilities. So I'm sure India got kind of Lords in the Oval, and New Zealand got some grammar school in the outskirts of Essex. It was a very much us against the world kind of mentality right from the start. And that's the best atmosphere, the best culture I've ever been involved in with the New Zealand team. I think after 4 years earlier, the disappointment in 2015, we were pretty keen to, I suppose, to go one better. It didn't eventuate in the end. I suppose tying and then losing is one better than just losing, or hopefully tying and then win, tying and then losing. It was just a really great atmosphere, and obviously we had all the families and partners and stuff over. I think it's been mentioned that the touring party might have been 35 or 40 at some point, with +1s and +2s and +4s on a few occasions. And it was just a great place to play cricket.
Hundreds of people can actually chase you at a time, and it's we actually have to go to malls for security. they shut down shops for us so that people just don't come in and just get in our face. It is overwhelming the first time you go there. I'm still not a massive fan of it. I quite like my personal space. Jimmy, how do you find it?
You have to learn to say no, that's for sure. I think as a Kiwi you used to, I think you have to learn, and as a New Zealander you're quite accommodating to people generally. If someone comes up and asks for an autograph or a photo, it's no worries, and because it's only going to be probably one of 2 or 3 for the entire day, but when you're in India and it's 2 or 3 every 5 minutes, it's sort of, you actually have to learn to, decline, and you realise the local Indian players will just walk through a room full of people asking them for things, and they'll just look at the floor and just walk straight through the middle of, and you sort of go, how can you do that? And they just say, well, if I stop for every selfie, it'll take me an hour and a half to get through the lobby of the hotel, and you sort of realise that that's how different life is for them. They actually are almost mobbed whenever they go in public. So
very similar to Croatia.
Yeah, exactly. And then you realise you come back to Auckland and you have a coffee on the roadside at a cafe and you're just in peace and quiet, and you realise how good it is to live in our country. It's always very pleasing to come home.
So it was amazing. Was there truth to the story that you guys played in the Super over you came in? Was there truth that you mentioned to them? It's a little bit. You mentioned something of a Suburbs picture.
Yeah. Well, I think it's pretty well documented the sort of journey I went on to get to that final, and myself and Guppy having played 3 or 4 years together back in the late 2000s, and then obviously went our separate ways for 13 years or so. And I said as I came down the stairs, I said Ken Wanda Park to a World Cup final at Lords. Like, what more could you ask for? We had a bit of a laugh on the sideline, went out and chasing 16, obviously off and over against one of the best bowlers in the world. It was a pretty tall order. I think you can take it 2 ways. You can either be really stressed out at how difficult the task is ahead of you, or you can almost laugh in the face of it and go, we'll give this a crack and see what happens. And, we certainly gave it a crack, it was obviously just not one step, probably about half a step too far.
Actually, just before we head, we actually have got some more time. We're going to do some. We're going to do some questions from the floor. And can we just have the questions from the kids, actually?
What are your hobbies outside of cricket?
So hobbies outside of cricket. You want to know anyone in particular? Boarding.
I enjoy playing golf, although I'm not very good. Jimmy could probably back me up on that. But I've got a nearly 3-year-old daughter as well, so I just like spending time with her and just being at home with family. Cricket can be quite all-encompassing and get quite involved in it. So when you've been away for a long time, all you want to do is be at home and spend time with your family. So that's probably my number one, is just spending time with family.
Yeah, golf's probably a very common answer here, but I do enjoy playing golf as well. But outside of golf, just spending time with families and doing a lot of adventure activities. We've got a beautiful backyard in our country, so it's nice to get out and about when I'm not playing cricket and spend a little time with friends and families as much as possible.
A little bit of golf as well at the moment. I've also got a 1-year-old Labrador puppy at the moment, which I'm...
So you're going to say 1-year-old baby?
I hope not. 1-year-old Labrador puppy at the moment.
Sure.
Spending a lot of time training and sort of going on runs and trying to get him to behave a little bit more, and then also trying to get into media post-career, so spending a lot of time researching, sort of the media industry and making podcasts and sort of looking into how to, I suppose, move into the TV sector after I'm done cricket, so that sort of takes up a lot of my time at the moment.
I don't play golf. The bloody industry. I gave up pretty early. For me, I've got a passion in cars. I suppose growing up, the old man in a workshop, spent a lot of time there, so grew a big passion in cars. Other than that, just watching sport, football. and yeah, massive football fans watch a lot of football.
But around the world, Waikiki Stadium in Mumbai, the Wanderers in Johannesburg, Lords.
I enjoyed playing at the Perth.
I really like Newlands and Cape Town.
For me, obviously, not having that much international experience, I suppose locally it's probably Bukakura Park. It's a very interesting venue to play at.
One of my teammates was once hit in the back by a whole roast chicken.
Spin bowlers probably Mirrorly, just couldn't even pick him. Seam bowlers, Dale Staines probably the best I've faced, getting out for fun.
And in terms of bowling, Jimmy Anderson, he's a world-class bowler, and I was very fortunate to have played against him.
Our first series I ever played, I had to bowl to Graham Smith, which was a pretty insulting almost experience for a 22-year-old.
Where it's on to you really quick and Cook's bowling a bit of face.
Starting with me, everyone's quick.
I remember going out at Brisbane in 2015 and Mitchell Johnson was the tallest run-up and I sort of marked centre and I scratched centre and I looked around the field and I turned around behind me and the keeper, I could barely see him. The keeper was like 40 metres behind me and I was like, I'm in trouble here, this is not good. And first ball he bumped me and I ducked it and it sort of went past my ear. And I stood up and turned around and it was still in the air. The keeper was still waiting for it. And then he took it above his head and I just went, I'm a bowler now, I think.
Mitchell started for me last year in Perth. Perth's a very spicy wicket. It almost feels like the ball picks up pace after it lands. And facing him last year was a pretty daunting task and he was throwing some thunderbolts down and yeah, it was pretty intimidating.
I think in my career I've faced 3 balls at 153. One was Sean Tate, and I heard the ball pitch and then it fizzed past my head. Second one was Marshawn Delanga. That was quite scary because he doesn't really know where the ball's going. He's a javelin thrower, so he's got this big action where he comes in and then lets it go, and it was a full toss on my legs, and I managed to get a little bit of bat on it and get down the other end. And then I think Stark's bowled one on 150 to me as well, so 3 guys are genuinely quite quick.
Really appreciate it. It's been fantastic to find out a little bit more about you guys. Surely an inspiration to these guys and the parents as well. So if we can have a huge round of applause.
Thanks, JB. I've got the great pleasure of sort of closing off today. We're going to finish shortly with a chance for all you guys to come and get your stuff signed by the players.
One green, yeah, what's the winning ticket? Yeah, like it's green 15, you know. Ticket price? £5. Right, go any 3 hours from here, can't you? I'm just going to be here at 6, if not right till 9. Everybody. One's good.